This country doesn't have an airport, a military, or even its own currency, yet it's one of the wealthiest, safest, and most unique places on the planet. Welcome to Liechtenstein, Europe's best-kept secret that's about to blow your mind. I'm talking about a nation so small you could literally drive across it in 20 minutes, yet its citizens enjoy some of the highest living standards on Earth. This place is so wealthy that getting citizenship here is like winning the lottery, and the crime rate is so low that people genuinely forget to lock their doors at night. But here's the crazy part. Most people can't even point to it on a map. Many people don't even realize it's a country, confusing it with a region or a quaint alpine town. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible story of Liechtenstein, a country that breaks every rule about how nations are supposed to work. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this tiny alpine nation has managed to become one of the most prosperous places on the planet, and why their unique approach to everything from defense to economics might just be the secret formula for success. It's not just about money or geography, it's about strategy, culture, and vision. So, what exactly makes Liechtenstein so special? Picture this. You're standing in a country where the average household income is over $100,000, where unemployment barely exists, and where the biggest crime story of the year might be someone stealing a bicycle. This isn't some fantasy land. This is real life in the Principality of Liechtenstein. It sounds like the kind of society you might expect in a futuristic utopia, yet it's been operating this way for decades. But before we dive into all the incredible benefits of living here, let me paint you a picture of just how unique this place really is. Liechtenstein sits nestled between Switzerland and Austria, covering just 62 square miles of pristine alpine territory. To put that in perspective, it's smaller than most major cities. You could fit the entire country inside Los Angeles about 300 times over. In fact, if you were to walk the length of the country, it would take you less than a day. The entire population of Liechtenstein is around 39,000 people. That's smaller than most college towns. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite being one of the smallest countries in the world, Liechtenstein punches way above its weight class in terms of economic power and influence. In the global economy, it's like a featherweight champion knocking out heavyweights left and right. Now let's talk about the geography that makes this place so extraordinary. Liechtenstein is basically a real-life fairy tale kingdom. The western part of the country sits in the Rhine Valley with flat, fertile land that's perfect for agriculture and development. But as you move east, the landscape transforms into dramatic alpine peaks and pristine mountain forests. Every direction you turn offers a postcard-perfect view. The Rhine River forms the natural border with Switzerland, and the entire country is surrounded by some of the most beautiful mountain scenery in Europe. We're talking about a place where you can have breakfast in the valley and be hiking among snow-capped peaks by lunchtime. This isn't just a pretty backdrop, it's part of the national identity. Nature here is more than scenery, it's part of how people live, work, and relax. The capital city, Vaduz, sits right in the heart of the Rhine Valley and is home to about 5,000 people. The royal castle overlooks the entire valley from its perch on a hillside. And yes, this country still has an actual prince who lives in an actual castle. It's like something straight out of a storybook, but it's real, functioning, and surprisingly modern. The castle itself isn't just a symbol, it's a residence and a cultural cornerstone. But here's where things get interesting. Remember how I mentioned that Liechtenstein doesn't have an airport or a military? Let me explain why this makes perfect sense and how it contributes to their incredible success. First, let's talk about the no airport situation. When your entire country is 62 square miles, building an airport would literally take up a significant chunk of your territory. Instead, Liechtenstein has figured out something much smarter. The closest major airport is in Zurich, which is just over an hour away by car. There's also an airport in Austria that's even closer, making air travel easily accessible without using up valuable land. But here's the genius part. Instead of wasting precious land and resources on an airport, Liechtenstein has invested in incredible infrastructure that connects them to the world. They have excellent road networks, efficient public transportation, and helicopter services for those who need quick access. It's actually more convenient for many residents than dealing with the hassles of a domestic airport, security lines, and air traffic congestion. Trains from nearby Swiss and Austrian towns offer seamless travel to and from the Principality, making cross-border mobility almost frictionless. Now, about that military situation, Liechtenstein abolished its army all the way back in 1868, and this decision has been absolutely brilliant for their economy and way of life. Think about it. Military spending is one of the biggest expenses for most countries. The United States spends over $700 billion annually on defense. Even smaller European countries pour billions into their armed forces. Liechtenstein said no thanks to all of that. Instead, they've relied on their strategic position between Switzerland and Austria for protection. Both of these countries have strong militaries and are committed to maintaining regional peace and stability. It's like having the best security system in the world without having to foot the bill. In the rare event of external threats, which are extremely unlikely, Liechtenstein would have immediate diplomatic and logistical support from its neighbors. And the real masterstroke, they took all that money they would have spent on military and reinvested it into their people, into education, into infrastructure, into business development. This strategic reallocation of resources is one of the biggest reasons why Liechtenstein has built such remarkable prosperity on such a small piece of land. It's a perfect example of how choosing peace can also be an investment strategy. Now let's talk about money, because the financial numbers coming out of this tiny nation are truly staggering. The GDP per capita in Liechtenstein is over $180,000. Let that sink in. That's not just higher than Switzerland or Norway, it's the highest in the entire world. And the median household income is similarly astronomical, reflecting the broad distribution of this wealth. But it's not just about how much money people make, it's about how effectively that wealth is used to improve everyday life. Healthcare in Liechtenstein is top tier. It's accessible, efficient, and modern. There's a reason life expectancy here is among the highest in Europe. Education, also world-class. Small class sizes, well-paid teachers, and access to both local universities and international programs make Liechtenstein a hub of lifelong learning. Students often receive generous support to study abroad and return with international experience and qualifications. Unemployment in Liechtenstein typically hovers around 1 to 2%. Which economists define as essentially full employment. But here's the kicker, they actually have more jobs than people. That's right, Liechtenstein literally doesn't have enough locals to fill all its open positions, so they bring in thousands of cross-border workers every day from Austria and Switzerland. This unique arrangement has created one of the most balanced labor ecosystems in Europe. These cross-border workers get to earn high Liechtenstein wages while enjoying lower living costs at home. Meanwhile, Liechtenstein enjoys the benefits of a skilled and diverse labor force without overburdening its housing or public services. It's a model that manages population pressures while maximizing productivity. Their tax system is another cornerstone of success. Liechtenstein offers competitive corporate tax rates and has cultivated a reputation as a global financial hub. But it's not some shady offshore haven. They've implemented international standards for transparency and regulation while maintaining a business-friendly environment. This attracts top-tier firms from around the globe. Entrepreneurs and multinational corporations alike view Liechtenstein as a stable, forward-thinking base of operations. The result? A booming financial sector that manages over $200 billion in assets, and this prosperity trickles down, funding public services, infrastructure, and community development across the country. The banking sector alone contributes significantly to GDP, and the government maintains a healthy budget surplus. Now let's talk about something that feels almost too good to be true: safety. Crime in Liechtenstein is practically non-existent. In many years, the country records 0 murders. The police force is tiny, not because of budget cuts, but because there's simply not much for them to do. Violent crime, virtually unheard of. Petty theft, rare and shocking when it happens. It's common to see people leave their homes and cars unlocked. Children walk to school without adult supervision. Elderly residents stroll at night without fear. It's not a fantasy. It's the result of a high-trust society where people feel secure in their communities and institutions. The stability of the economy, the quality of education, and the strength of community relationships all play a role in this social cohesion. This level of safety extends to every aspect of life. Whether you're visiting as a tourist or living as a resident, the sense of peace is palpable. It's not the kind of peace that's enforced through heavy surveillance or militarization. It's the kind that comes from a strong social fabric, economic stability, and a shared commitment to harmony. It fosters a way of life where people take pride in their country and in each other. Let's return for a moment to that incredible commuter arrangement. Every day, around 20,000 people commute into Liechtenstein for work. That's over half of the country's total workforce. They come from nearby villages and towns in Austria and Switzerland, often enjoying some of the most scenic commutes in the world. These aren't long, stressful trips. They're smooth, efficient, and well-integrated. Border crossings feel like passing between neighborhoods, not nations. And this seamless movement of people and skills creates an economic engine that's uniquely flexible and resilient. Few other countries in the world have mastered this blend of open borders and local autonomy. Liechtenstein gets the economic boost of a much larger labor force without the infrastructure strain of housing them all. It's one of the cleverest demographic strategies you'll find anywhere in the world. It allows the country to function like a metropolis with the charm of a village. So how has Liechtenstein managed to maintain this success? It boils down to 4 key pillars: smart governance, targeted investment, cultural cohesion, and strategic independence. Smart governance starts with the royal family, who have ruled for over 3 centuries. But this isn't some outdated monarchy clinging to tradition. The princes of Liechtenstein have consistently embraced modernization, economic reform, and diplomacy. They're educated, engaged, and surprisingly accessible. Prince Hans Adam II, for example, studied in Switzerland and the UK, and his policies have reflected a strong understanding of both economics and geopolitics. Yet Liechtenstein is still a democracy. Citizens vote regularly. In fact, they can even vote to abolish the monarchy if they choose. That combination of long-term leadership and direct democratic power creates an unusual level of political stability and trust. It's a fusion of tradition and accountability that many larger democracies struggle to balance. Targeted investment means that every franc is spent wisely. With no military, minimal bureaucracy, and strong revenues, the government can pour money into the things that matter: education, healthcare, infrastructure, and innovation. There's very little waste, and almost every citizen feels the impact of this efficiency. Cultural cohesion is another ingredient. With such a small population, Liechtenstein has cultivated a strong sense of shared purpose and mutual responsibility. People care about their communities because they're deeply rooted in them. It's not unusual for neighbors to know each other for generations and for local traditions to be celebrated year after year. And finally, there's strategic independence. Liechtenstein uses the Swiss franc, benefiting from one of the world's most stable currencies. They're part of the European Economic Area, giving them access to the EU market, but they're not in the EU itself. This gives them the flexibility to chart their own economic policies while staying connected to global trade. It's the best of both worlds: access without bureaucracy. Despite all of this, most people around the world still haven't heard of Liechtenstein. Why? Partly because it's so small, it's easy to overlook on a map, but also because they prefer it that way. They're not chasing global fame, they're chasing quiet, sustainable excellence. There are no mass tourism campaigns, no political power plays, no celebrity culture, just a focused, deliberate effort to create the best life possible for their citizens. And honestly, it's working. So, would you live in Liechtenstein? Could you trade the energy and excitement of a big city for mountain views, near zero crime, and a government that actually works? It's not for everyone. Residency is hard to get, and the cost of living is high. But for those who value peace, prosperity, and purpose, it might just be paradise. Thanks for watching. If this video gave you a new appreciation for one of the world's most unique countries, be sure to like and subscribe. We've got more deep dives into incredible places coming soon, and you won't want to miss them.